Yeah, I was offered the role,
Yeah,
but I do remember meeting John and meeting Lynn Marie Danzig.
yeah.
I'd sort of been living in London, so it was a bit out of the blue, but it was fantastic. It was a great opportunity. Like, I'd come back for Wildside, but I was also doing a lot of other things around the time, and it was a really great role.
Hi, and welcome to this very special season of McLaren Versus, celebrating 25 years of the iconic series The Secret Life of Us, a show that is somewhat close to my own heart. Now, over the next few episodes, we're going to be talking to some of the cast and the creators of the show to give you that access all areas chat you have come to expect. So sit back as we take you on a ride through the noughties and one of Australia's most loved TV series from the inside out. This is McLaren versus The Secret Life of Us. Let me start by saying this. Abi Tucker, welcome to McLaren versus. How exciting to have you here.
Thank you, Spencer McLaren. It's lovely to be here.
We haven't seen each other, as in physically seen each other for some time, actually.
Yes,
We
right.
tried to do this in Sydney, face to face.
Mm-hmm.
We had a bout of nastiness. We'll just leave that as it is. And go, that's it. That's one of the side effects of children, I hear commonly from people. So we'll leave that alone. That was a bit of a shame.
Yeah, we'll let that one go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
All I can say is that you should. It was actually good that you didn't meet us, because it wouldn't have been I wouldn't have liked you to have caught what we had.
I could have lost 10 kilos like that. It would have been amazing. Gosh, there's so much to talk about. But
Yeah.
obviously, we're here to have a little chat about some shared history.
Yeah.
So if I can kick us off and just say to you, when someone says to you or mentions to you The Secret Life of Us, what is the first thing that comes to mind for you?
It was such a glorious time of my life. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people. Melbourne. I was living in Melbourne, and I think about all the wonderful locations and all the good people. And yes, that's what I think of.
Speaking of good times, in the offices here where I am in Kindred Studios, the beautiful lady who runs it, Cherie, she says, "Oh, I know, Abby. We had a great night out once at Revolver."
Well, we had many
I bet
great nights
nobody remembers that.
back in the day. Yeah. No,
Yes.
yeah, yes, it was fun, and lots of great nightlife, and lots of beautiful people and walks along the beach at and then Ackland Street and all those sorts of things. So
Um, so when we started Secret Life, right, you came to the show with quite a bit of success already under your belt. You'd spent, I think, 2 or 3 years on Heartbreak High
yep,
as Jodie, like a huge
hmm,
hit here in Australia.
yeah,
You'd also done Wildside, very different show.
very different. Yes, yeah,
Tony Martin, Alex Dimitriades, a very different creative process in that as well, if I recall. Wildside was very was it quite
well, it
improvised?
was more it was improvised in the way that, like, you knew your lines and you actually knew all the script, but then towards the kind of when you're in the heat of things, which was very interesting, how much sort of freedom we had to film that show, because it was just brilliant. But lots of sort of scenes, reality, sort of things happening, and it was really strong. They really loved, and they encouraged those moments where towards the end you'd sort of say, oh, and you'd have your sort of reaction to these situations, which I found really interesting, and I enjoyed that process.
You were a veteran almost, like you were famous. I was not. Do you remember how did you come to be in Secret Life? Do you remember? Were you offered? Was there an audition process? How did it work for you?
Yeah, I was offered the role,
Yeah,
but I do remember meeting John and meeting Lynn Marie Danzig.
yeah.
I'd sort of been living in London, so it was a bit out of the blue, but it was fantastic. It was a great opportunity. Like, I'd come back for Wildside, but I was also doing a lot of other things around the time, and it was a really great role, really great character. I feel, and so yeah, it was. I think it was a lucky break, really. I mean, it was a lucky moment in my life to have that involvement in that show.
Mm. Do you remember my audition with you?
No, I'm sort of, it's so funny because I think back and I go, oh, it's just, I remember very strongly some of our scenes we did together. We had some fantastic scenes, and
Did you?
I really, I pinpoint things in my mind that, like, going back and there was a couple of scenes that we did that were just so just electrifying, you know. So yeah, I remember sort of moments of time where
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Well, I remember that is one of my key memories for
Mm,
me
yeah.
of that time.
Mm,
Obviously, I come out of drama school, so I was wanting to kind of make it in the big wide world, and obviously I knew who you were, and coming in for that audition with Lynn Marie Danzy, and she brought you in. I think we'd done a test beforehand, and they were doing a recall, and Amanda Higgs was there, and Lynn Marie Danzy and you.
mm.
And yeah, and it was a really good screen test. I remember that, and I kind of went, that went really well. But I know, Lynn Marie was kind of taking me in the corner and whispering, going, "Try it this way, try it that way," and
Yeah, right.
all that sort of stuff. And yeah, because she was big on the, "I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to tell you something else, and see what
Yeah,
happens," kind of
yeah,
thing.
and it's interesting how they sort of, I mean, in terms of like putting characters together in shows, how directors and producers often have a sort of a duo or a trio or a group in mind,
Yeah,
and seeing them. I mean, it must be such a wonderful feeling when you get that right for a director, because then they suddenly go, "Oh, wow, that's it. That's what we needed. That exact emotion and that exact emotion and the way that they
they
fizzled or
connect.
fizzled
Yeah.
together."
Yeah, yeah, and I did speak to Wizzy as well. Wizzy
Ah,
Evans is now Wizzy Ringer, our casting person, who you know as well. But she spoke as well about that chemistry and how, particularly in the first instance, with that with the original cast, and often through the series casting too. She said people would walk in and they would just go, "It's them, it's them."
yeah.
Straight away they would know. And it was
Mm.
when they started compiling these people like yourself and Claudia and Sam. Sam talked quite a lot about his audition in our little chat, which is quite funny because you can imagine. And
Mhm.
they just went, "That is Evan. There he is. Let's go."
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, she
Putting
talks
that
about,
puzzle together, it's like it's
yeah,
quite an
yeah,
interesting concept. Is having, you might have two equally strong characters or performers, but
mm,
do those does one of those characters make that character work in a
yeah.
different way? Or
Do
yeah,
they work together?
what? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I do remember walking out of that audition thinking, well, I can't do anything else. It was a great audition, and I just got to wait and see now. Here we
yeah.
go. Did you know any of the other cast? Like, did you know Joel or did you know Claudia or anyone before we started filming?
No, 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 I didn't.
No.
No,
So,
and it was really. Uh, yeah, over the time, I feel like the cast was a very well chosen group of people, and I feel blessed to have met the people I met through the show. Yeah,
yeah, it was a like you said before, that memory is it was a golden time.
it
It
was.
really
Yeah,
was a lovely bunch of people,
yeah,
and I do recall, starting, and feeling quite intimidated. like, there's
mm,
yourself and there's Claudia, who's, was a film star.
yes, yeah, that's right.
I think very quickly, though, we sort of found our working rhythms, like you, me, and Joel, because of our house,
Yeah,
that was
that's right.
there. And then you'd have Deb, Sam, and Claudia were doing their thing, and then we'd cross over at the bar and do
Yeah,
that
yeah, and that's where some of the best scenes were. It's like
on the
some of
bar or the rooftop. I know as well, like Joel, we did have a lot of fun. We had some really funny scenes and good scenes. Do you have any favourites that you recall from your time?
no, I remember the big argument scene we had in the bar, and that was that, and my character was really angry at you, and it was like it was just so intense, and you were kind of, and I think sort of because we'd had a fair bit of time to manage our sort of the way that we were on screen together at that stage,
Mm.
I think it worked really nicely because I don't think either of us did what we expected we'd do in the reaction. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it was a
Oh,
strange reaction. I could just like so- and and those sorts of moments where like I think as a performer you react as opposed to know what your reaction's going to be,
yeah,
and they react back, and it was like we were playing a game of tennis, and I felt, oh
yeah,
my gosh, this is like we've
yeah,
really hit a great mark with where we're at as characters and as performers together.
yeah,
Like, because we really, and from then on, I think it was really like there was a real, I guess when you start to get to know people as friends off screen and they start to sort of, you all start to have a better understanding of each other and
Yeah, and how we work
the
and
character. Yeah, and then you actually sort of bounce off each other nicely. I really
yeah.
enjoy that.
I do remember, speaking of that, you know, I I don't think it was the pilot because the pilot happened so quickly. So I'm going
Yeah,
to say it was early in season one. It must have been because you were sharing a house with Joel, the
yeah.
apartment there, and you'd been really grumpy for like 2 weeks. And I was like, what's going on? And then you told me that you were driving back to Sydney to go and get all your music gear because you hadn't brought it with you.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you went and got all your music gear and you came back and you were like a different person, right?
Yeah, that's
Music
yeah,
is that's the moment I realized that music is a part of your DNA. Like it's
yeah,
part of you.
absolutely.
And when that was gone,
Mm.
I mean, you weren't a pain in the ass. I don't mean that,
Mm.
but I said you weren't firing,
Yeah.
and I was saying,
It's
what,
just yeah. I
why am
suppose
I depressed? What's happening? What do I
yeah,
do? No more jokes. How do I fix this?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
That makes
and
perfect sense because whenever I even now like music is like a key to my, you know,
yeah,
personality, soul, heart, whatever you want to say. I mean, I'm doing play school a lot at the moment. Not a lot, but enough. I love it, and
yeah,
I sing the children's songs, but I'm also doing a little bit of a band thing, which is nice. And I just feel like having that in my life is so significant, and it
yeah.
always. I think that's pretty much what any person would say with their passion.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I know, you wrote a number of songs and performed a number of songs within the series
Yep.
as well. I always remember the one you sang in the bar, and
Mm.
when I was kind of going looking at Simon and going, "Oh my God, what have I done?" and you and go, "Oh," I don't
Yeah.
remember what the song was, but I remember it was that moment where it's just kind of like, "Oh," you
It's
know,
actually, and I think that with that, you look at the way that was cut together and all the performances in that, and so that small piece of the puzzle. It was the composition of all the things around that music and all the things
Mm.
around that scene that made it like seeing these things when they're aired. You go, oh, okay, that's so interesting because it's either what you expected or it wasn't what you expected, and yeah, it's good.
Speaking of seeing things, when was the last time you watched any?
Secret Life.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, well, no, I haven't. I haven't actually watched it a lot. I've seen a lot of people have said to me they've watched it.
yeah, yeah,
Watched a couple of as I've said, these scenes that I see and I look at and I think, oh wow, just to see, and that
yeah.
was quite a while ago. No, I haven't. I haven't really sort of brought it back into my life at this stage.
And that's okay, by the way. That's okay.
I'm in the. I've got two children, and they're that age where it's like, well, when they watch it, I might watch it with them.
Are they 9 and 10 now? Is that right? Are they
10 and 11.
10, 11, 10, 11? Year behind. It's
Yeah,
constant
that's right.
criticism for me. Yeah. Well, yes, and it's just, I don't know if you're aware, it's just started on ABC iView. It's there now.
Great.
Well,
Well,
it's just started, and it's on. If you have a Samsung, you can
mhm,
watch it 24/7 on Samsung TV,
at the.
or it's on 7 Plus at
Yep.
the moment. I was like, I can't believe it's still out in all these places.
Well, I mean, but it really struck a chord, and I think too, it's actually quite current. It's interesting how things, you know, stay relevant.
Well,
Uh,
it's a show about 20 somethings finding their way in the world, and that
mm,
hasn't gone away.
yeah,
So I think you're right. It absolutely is relevant, and the human issues we dealt with, whilst we now have social media and things like that have
yeah,
changed around us,
mm,
the core values and the core
struggles,
struggles
triumphs.
remain. Finding who you are, identity, purpose, all
Yeah,
those things still remain. And I have watched a little bit of it, looking at getting this sort of series together because it is like 25 years.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I haven't
Exactly.
say I've watched like the episodes or anything, but it's kind of like you dip back in, you watch some stuff, and it was quite fascinating because I saw Claudia's character Alex, having an argument in the kitchen about Palestine, and I was kind of, oh gosh, like we're
Yeah,
still 25 years later, that has not gone away and is still there. And looking I said to Judy McCrossan and Amanda when I interviewed them,
hmm
um, the one thing that not the one thing, but one of the key things that stuck with me from that experience was the trifecta philosophy that Kelly talks about in the pilot, finding your love life, your home life, and your work life. And if you can get them
Yeah.
all going, it's great.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you can never have all three. And if you do, you've
Yeah,
got to give one
exactly.
up. I'm like,
One goes this way and the other one goes that way, and that's what makes those stories so interesting, is like watching a love life go this direction and then watch the other thing, because that's life, it's like I
it
think
is.
about, and especially at a time in your life like in your 20s and your 30s, when it is so profoundly sort of, I don't know, it just seems like, well, for me personally, I was quite adventurous. I loved having a lot of adventure, but I was also quite sort of bit guarded,
Yep.
and um, a little bit challenged by it all.
Yeah.
Very challenged, actually. Still am challenged, but in different ways.
Well, it brought some, and look, I would have thought you would have had, well, you had some experience of this, probably more so from Heartbreak High than Wildside, perhaps, but it brought some public focus and scrutiny, you know, often called fame, inverted commas, that was quite different. And because we were living in St Kilda, we
Yeah,
were shooting in St Kilda.
yeah,
We were of that age. You were playing, like Miranda Lang, an aspiring actress,
yeah,
musician, like big stretch.
yeah,
Me also playing an actor, big
yeah.
stretch.
Big
You
stretch.
know, big stretch. Um, and there was a lot of scrutiny, just eyeballs, and
Yeah,
that
and
challenging.
and funny you say that, because I suppose because of with Heartbreak, it was so well received overseas and internationally, and I travelled and did a lot of promo and stuff overseas,
Mm.
and got involved in that world over there, and then came back. It was like, and I was really unaware of the way that was all playing out around me. I don't know
Mhm.
why. I never kind of got it, and
Yeah.
maybe something like entirely different to people who understand that it was never like, I always saw it as this role, and I played the role, and then my life outside of that role was, hey, this is who I am. So
Mm.
it's strange, isn't it?
Mm.
And thinking back, I suppose there was a lot of that going on, and I just, you know, a little bit oblivious, Spencer McLaren, a little bit oblivious.
Completely fine, Abi Tucker. Speaking of the big stretch we both had to create our characters,
Yes, yes.
how much, I mean, I say that in jest because, they aren't us,
Yeah,
but
no,
how much of Abby do you think you brought in to Miranda?
I'm not sure that whole. I remember a very funny scene with Joel, actually, when he was on the bike, and we went down to check out that Pause Afresh sign that was on the street. The big
Oh,
when
oh, yes, the pause with the nose strip. Oh,
Pause.
yes, the nose strips and pause afresh because you'd done the ad for it. That's right, your
It
character
was
done the ad
a
for pause.
billboard poster
Yeah.
in Ackland Street, or like on the corner of Ackland Street, and it was just massive. And
So they
I
put an
suppose,
actual billboard up.
yes, they put a billboard up. Yeah, and it was hilarious because it was up there, and I'm like, and I think there were elements of Miranda that were me, in
Mm.
terms of the way that I don't know. It's hard to sort of say. I mean, I think that characters, you always have a small or bigger than small part of that person within you. Mm.
Well, I know from a storyline perspective, we were both kind of blessed with getting to play out the concept of same-sex characters, same-sex
Yep.
relationships. You having to deal with my characters coming out and dealing with
Yeah.
that side of it,
Okay.
and then similarly later on
Yep.
when Miranda met Chloe and kind
Yep.
of playing around in that space. How do you? I don't know. How do you look back on that? Like, because that was very groundbreaking for the time.
Yeah. Well, again, it was like, I suppose, working with Anna Kokonos was
Oh
just,
yes,
she
yes,
is just an amazing director,
yeah.
and any on-screen relationship has this sort of need to be explored and understood, and I really love having those opportunities to explore the the complexity of that stuff. And I think for me that was a really interesting shift in Miranda's character, but not a not an unexpected, or it wasn't something that was came out of the blue for me. I thought it was quite an interesting, very yeah, it was a good,
It's
interesting
sort of an
shift.
organic evolution that sort of
Yeah, organic.
through.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the nature of, you know, some people need to explore different elements of their interests and gender diversity and, you know, all sorts of things, neurodiversity, all the, you know, it's very important to actually always treat them really with a lot of regard and understanding and sensitivity, because
Yeah.
it was a real, like that became what my character was going through. It was a very real experience for her, and I really, I'm grateful that I have these opportunities as an actor to explore these different things that I go through, like getting married, for example. On one of, you know, it's all this stuff that you're like, oh, I got married. I was on screen.
I have kids on screen. It's great. I know what it's like. It's perfect.
Yes,
You
but
know?
there's, yes, it's interesting, and how a similar thing when you have to deal with death or tragedy on screen. You know, it's like yeah, it's another part of exploring characters and characters' perspectives and your perspectives on death and all that sort of thing.
I think like you touched on there as well is, you know, being grateful for that opportunity, and you know, which I am similarly, you know, and I do look back at it. At the time, I don't think we saw it through this lens, but now, like 25 years on, you know, there's been a lot of focus on women and women's stories and women creatives. And I look back to that, and we had Amanda Higgs and John Edwards producing, and then the two lead writers, Judy McCrossan and
Yeah,
Lee, right? So you had this
yeah,
kind of balance there, but it really explored, not that it didn't explore the male characters, I don't mean that, but it's more than what we'd seen before. The
yeah,
female characters and the representation that went onto screen
yeah.
offered a much truer and more complicated and authentic version than I think we'd seen before. Would you say that's true?
I just think the whole show in general had this authenticity that is why it's still relevant. You know, I feel like that with and Heartbreak, strangely, has become,
Well, it had its great reboot as well, based
yeah,
on, you know, and there's a reason
and
it happened. Yeah.
and I think that's the thing. And I mean, you take on a character, you take on the authenticity of the character, and then those puzzles all come together, and you've got something that is, you know, going to have a base. When I think about, you know, everything that's been and done in my experiences in television film, I feel really lucky to have had so much trust and faith in the people that I was working with and my connection to them.
Yeah.
There's been funny experiences, and there's been some kind of wide-eyed experience and wild experiences and so forth. And I think that trust, and I still have many, many wonderful experiences, you know, under this hat that came from a place of trust for
Yeah.
me. And I feel blessed to have had that with the people that I worked with, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And
those things we couldn't have done if we didn't have that.
yeah, and even theatre now and all that stuff. It's like, you know, it's important to me to know that I'm walking in to a team where it's coming from a place of this character that is very much, you know, part of a circle of other characters, and it has to have that for me, you know, especially when you're playing against someone like you, Spence, and you know, having like we had to have an on-screen relationship, and it went through so many jumps and so many turns and twists that, and I feel like for the feedback that I've had about the show and the way that it has gone to screen, I feel like we should really, you know, raise a glass and toast each other, and everybody in the cast, because I mean, it was really something special.
It was something very special. And I think, you know, part of that synergy came from the off-screen friendships as well that did form. And I was thinking of stories outside of the Revolver one I mentioned earlier. And I do recall going to the old Bowls Club, and there was all the old-timer jazz band.
I think I Yes, I remember
And we
that.
spent
Yes.
summertime together and got up
Oh,
in front of
yeah.
Empire State Restaurant.
Summertime.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And there was
Yeah.
this room full of like 45 old jazz kids kicking around in their 60s and 70s. Amazing sound, just getting together in the local community. And I just went, where is this? It was like $2 beers. And we're just like, let's have a beer and have a sing. And
Yeah.
it was so lovely to have those kind of experiences, off as well as the wonderful work experience together.
Yeah, it's funny though. We really did have a good time. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I think back and I think also being interstate for me was really, as much as it was challenging,
Mm.
it was really, it made it a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just about going home and going into your world. It was about sharing your world
Yeah.
with being in Melbourne,
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, look, I'm going to bookend the Secret Life stuff just there,
Yep.
but I do want to just be remiss not to mention we had a little moment together on McLeod's Daughters when I came and
Yes.
stole your cattle, if I recall.
Yeah.
You went on, you left Secret Life and went on to do, I think it's 3 years on that or something like that.
Well, it was,
on-
yeah. McLeod's was, I did a season and a half of McLeod's. Yeah.
Right, which is Grace, as Grace McLeod there. I can't remember, could you ride horses before you started that? Or
Really?
no?
I was actually in London I was in Edinburgh at the Edinburgh Festival in the Upside Down Cow doing a show that I was doing, Breakfast with Johnny Wilkinson, and for the Edinburgh Festival. And the audition.
David Barney from the Menia Chocolate Factory, is that right?
Brilliant, the most extraordinary David Babani that you know
Yes,
quite well.
yes.
And I was doing the performance, and then I did my audition onto tape and sent it back to Australia, and then I ended up flying back straight to Adelaide, and that's when I started to work on McLeod's, and that was such a big shift in my where I was in life, and I loved it. Like, it was so good to be in Adelaide, but it was hard, like working with the animals and all that sort of thing. It brought another layer to working.
Yeah. I mean, what another completely different world to play in. Heartbreak, Wildside, Secret Life,
Yeah.
McLeod, such wonderful sort of vignettes of worlds that you go there. They're exciting. And then the very last one you touched on before, I've got to ask about Play School.
Yeah.
Loved by everybody. How, because that's now been, I'm going to say, if I read correctly, it's 2009 you started. It's like 16 years, something like some 50 or 60 episodes across that time.
Yeah.
How did that come to be, and what do you love about it?
Well, it's interesting because I was doing the touring as well. And it's funny how things fall into your life when you actually have that sort of perspective on life. And now I've got my girls and stuff. So I actually took them on tour with me early on with Play School, and that was fantastic. But then obviously that was not going to work when they started school. But, Play School is just brilliant. And you get, and it's quite sort of, it's really, when you're on Play School, you're right in there, and it's like, it's a tricky one because you're
live theatre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really,
you're not re-recording all the songs and doing all of that. It's like it's live, for one of a better.
And you're in there, and that's what I love about it. It's like it's just it's all singing, all dancing, all acting, but it's a different kind of world to what Secret Life and McLeod's and those things, those shows are. But it's great.
Well, hopefully, the kids who grew up watching you can then move on to the catch-up series of all the things you've done, and they'll grow up.
And the next one.
And then on to the next one.
Yeah, the next big project.
Do we have one in the pipeline yet, Abby, or we're...
Well, we're not talking about it as yet, but yes, there is a little bit of an idea, a trickle of, an inkling of something coming up that is in the realm of children's television or children's theatre. It's more for us grown-ups. It's just
adults only. You heard it here. Rated Abi Tucker.
What's that? No, but we'll see. We'll see if it all sort of happens. But yeah. And what about you, Spence? I want to hear. I need to sit down and hear all about you. I feel because you're the host, you're asking the questions today. But I'm really interested to know what you're up to, because I know you've been doing producing and all sorts of things, and I've always seen you as the most amazing sort of catalyst for projects. I think you're very
Yeah, look,
extreme.
I mean, gosh,
You
what
know?
have we got here? So obviously I've been spending a little bit of time doing this, the McLaren versus sort of thing, which I just really am excited to do because it gave, I mean, beside the Secret Life, it just gives me an opportunity, I think, to highlight Aussie talent, which we just don't
Mm.
get. We don't get enough of, as in
I
there's
think
a
it's a
lot of these
great,
podcasts on Americans and that's all fine. They're great, they're
yeah,
entertaining, but no one was really taking the time, I think, to talk to us, as
yeah,
in, the people I've spoken to so far. Got some great ones coming up as well. And then it was just a really lovely opportunity and synergy to kind of go, let's revisit Secret Life because it is 25 years in that. So
yeah,
been working on that. That's been very exciting. Doing some bits and pieces in the acting world still. I did, I think it's probably 18 months ago now, I did Fake, which was with Ashley
yeah.
Kennedy, which
Okay,
is an amazing series to be a part of, like such a tiny bit, but, her and
brilliant.
Wenham,
Yeah,
just could not stop watching it. I
yeah,
was like, wow, this is fantastic. And a great book as well that it's based on and all that sort of stuff. So there's that. And I've got a couple of films I'm producing, which I'm hoping to shoot middle of next year, which is exciting.
yeah,
But yeah, I think a bit like yourself, I kind of move between worlds here, there, and everywhere, and it kind of keeps it fresh. It kind of keeps me interested. People don't get sick of me because I've gone away for a bit and I come back.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Um,
and I mean, this setup in your world with just
mm,
even this is brilliant because I feel like that is you're such the host of these sorts of programs. I mean, it's perfectly. It's like I just thought it's great, and also, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what your next step is because you always surprise people. So
well, maybe I need to find us a two-handed play and we'll do that together.
that'd be fun. We could
Yeah.
sing sometime at the bowling club down the road.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's fun just down the road here.
Here's live at the St Kilda Bowls Club revisiting.
Summertime. No. Well, look, thanks, Spence. I really appreciate you speaking to me and
Oh, thank you. You know,
joy. And I really I would love to catch up when you're in Sydney
yeah,
and potentially, we can all get together and hang out or do something. But anyway, it was nice to see you in the meantime.
sounds good.
A little
Thank you.
window of Spencer McLaren.
A
That's
little
just
window. Everybody needs a little bit before Christmas.
keep me going.
That's it for this episode of McLaren Versus. I'm Spencer McLaren, and thank you for spending some time with us. If you enjoyed this chat, then please don't forget to follow and leave us a review.